Hey everybody, and welcome to my top 10 new to me board games that I played in 2022. So it's pretty self-explanatory. These games didn't have to come out this year. In fact, most of these games came out a long time ago, but despite that, I've only just played them this year, and these are the top 10 games that I played for the first time this year. Before I get started on the list, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer when it comes to purchasing board games here in the UK. And if you use my link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. Okay, so I'm going to go through these games pretty quickly. I've done videos on I think 9 out of 10 of these, and the 10th one has been recorded and will be out soon. So if you want to know more about them, then please do check out those individual reviews. So at number 10, I have Condottier, which is a game that goes back to the 1990s. This one really did blow me away, as you're managing this hand of cards, trying to control these different regions, but you have to manage these cards so carefully as you very rarely get to replenish them. I love the way these cards interact with each other as you are trying to nullify everybody's pieces to make them strength 1. You can double the strength of all your pieces. You can try and get priority in turn order next time, and so on. And it just comes together so well in a very tense game, especially at those higher player counts. At number 9, I have Shipyard by Vladimir Suki. This was very much a grail game for me. I had to hunt high and low to snag myself a copy, but I'm really glad I did because the game is fantastic. So this game is all about rondelles. You are building your ships in your personal shipyard by collecting the front parts, the middle parts, and the back parts. Once they're complete, you're sending them off on a little trip and getting points based on different criteria. You're getting new crew members, you're getting kind of engine building benefits as you go. Just tons of options here, and I love how many rondelles there are. There are pretty much a rondelle for everything in this game, even rondelles within rondelles. So a ton of fun. That is Shipyard at number 9. At number 8, I have The Magnificent, which is a dice drafting midweight Euro. Now, I tend to hold dice drafting games to a very high standard because I played so many great ones, but this one really did hold its own. I love how simple it is, and I love that core system of the more dice you draft of the same colour, the more expensive it's going to be for you at the end of the round. But money in this game is pretty tight, so that can be quite a conundrum. You are essentially trying to collect these different almost polyomino style tiles, fill up your player board. That will correspond to these performance cards. The more performance cards you have complete, it means the more points you're going to get, and so on. I also love the pacing of the scoring cards in this one, because at the end of every scoring phase, you have to discard a card and will score what's on it, but give up the top benefit on that card as well. So tons of little decisions here, but it manages to come together in a very cohesive package that's pretty easy to understand considering how much is going on. So that is The Magnificent at number 8. At number 7, I have Messina 1347, which is the second game by Vladimir Suki on this list. Now, this is another midweight Euro as you're moving your meeples around this map of Messina. You are taking the corresponding actions on where you land, which can be collecting these fire tokens and trying to burn off the plague. You're trying to avoid getting the plague because the more plague cubes you collect, the more negative points you'll get at the end of the game. You're rescuing these civilians, sometimes putting them in quarantine if they've come in contact with these plague cubes, climbing tracks. There are lots of Euro goodness in here, but I think the fact it is like a 60 to 75 minute game is a massive bonus for me because it's pretty easy to get to the table. Loads going on here, some cool combos, and it's just a great game. So that is Messina 1347 at number 7. At number 6, I have Calamala by Fabio Lopiano. So this one is a pretty simple area majority game, but I love the degree in which you can plan with this one. As you know during setup exactly when each of the criteria are going to score, in what order. So it means that you can start investing in something with the idea of scoring for these different tiles, and then when it gets to a certain point, you know that it's no longer going to score, so you can kind of divert your plan into something completely different. The action system in this game is fantastic, as you are placing your disc down in between two actions, and then you'll get to take those two actions in any order that you want. But if anybody else goes on top of you, they'll get to take those actions, and then the people below will also get to take those actions again. So you're constantly getting rewarded for taking certain actions, and even on other players' turns, you are going to be engaged. It's such a smooth and beautifully streamlined game. One that I would consider to be elegant. I know that word is overused, but I think it's a perfect textbook definition of a game like Calamala. It is so good, and it is criminal that this game is not in print. So that is Calamala at number 6. At number 5, I have Teleton, which is actually the only 2022 release on this list. But this is the latest T-Series game by Board and Dice. Danny Sheeny, Simone Luciani, two of the best designers in the game today. And it's another dice drafting game, as you're drafting these dice based on the pip values and the colour of the die, which is going to show how many resources of that type you get, but the reverse value of that die is going to show the strength of the action you take. So the more resources you get, the weaker the action, the fewer resources you get, the stronger the action. Then you're going to be travelling around this map of Europe, trying to get presents everywhere, investing in these churches, kind of improving your own little player board. Just tons going on here. Lots of standard Euro stuff, but it comes together in a very nice package, and it's very satisfying as you can string more and more actions together by collecting these bonus tokens. A great game. That is Teleton at number 5. At number 4, I have Goa by Rudiger Dawn. So this is a bidding style game with a difference, as you and your opponents are deciding amongst yourself which tiles are going to be coming up for auction during the round. And you're going to do that by traversing this grid of tiles where the first player is going to choose which tile is up for auction first, then the next player will choose an adjacent tile to that, which is going to go up for auction next, and so on. And you can use that to your advantage by trying to steer away or towards tiles that you know you want, or maybe tiles that you want but can't afford yet. You can divert away from them with hope that you can get them later. And then these tiles are going to do things such as giving you currencies, giving you these new plantations which can let you harvest resources. Of course, they're going to give you engine building benefits, lots of different things like that. You are climbing tracks, you are getting endgame points based on how high you climb up on those tracks. But I love the fact that this game is a bidding game. It's a very saturated mechanism, and when a game manages to do something different, I love it, and it really kind of gives me that incentive to add it to my collection, because again, being different is so difficult nowadays. But Goa is brilliant, a real throwback Euro, and it's just great. So that is Goa at number 4. At number 3, I have Brussels 1893, which is a worker placement and area majority style game, as you are placing workers onto this group of worker placement spots, but the more you place workers in the same column gives you access to additional bonuses by collecting these cards, which will let you climb tracks to increase the value of your buildings you're building, or give you more points based on the area majorities by surrounding these shields on the worker placement board. And I love that kind of double layered thought process of, I want this action, but that action is also going to help me control this column, or going to help me surround this shield. So it has multiple layers based on a single mechanism. And I don't think there's many games out there, if not any games out there, that manage to put so many different mechanisms in one game and make it feel so cohesive, so well ironed out and well designed, where all that additional stuff doesn't feel tacked on. It feels like it's a core part of the game. And for me, that deserves full appreciation. So that is Brussels 1893 at number 3. At number 2, I have Bora Bora by Stefan Feld. This is another game that's been out of print for quite a long time now, but fortunately it is going to be more available soon because it's going to be part of the Stefan Feld collection called Cusco. But I've got the original, and I'm glad I do, because I tend to like that design a bit more, the aesthetic of it. But this one is a dice placement game, as of course you're placing dice on these different actions. Generally speaking, the higher point value dice are going to be stronger, but the lower value dice are great because once somebody goes to an action, you cannot place, or nobody can take that action again unless they place a weaker die on that spot. So the lower value die give you a lot more flexibility to get the actions you want to take. And you've got a ton of little mini games here. You've got things such as trying to control the majority of this little row by having presence there. You're trying to increase your presence on this different little map. You're trying to collect these male and female helpers, I suppose, to increase your ability to do things, increase your income, that kind of stuff. And also trying to tailor towards endgame strategies by collecting different artifacts, jewelry, that kind of stuff. So, very Euro in its nature, pretty themeless and almost abstract in the way it works, but it's a really cool blend of mechanisms held together very well through that dice placement system. I love that mechanism, and it works so well. So that is Bora Bora at number 2. And finally, at number 1, and my favourite board game that I played for the first time in 2022 is Russian Railroads. Now this is a worker placement game, but I love how different this game is in the way it scores, or the way you gain points, by essentially trying to constantly upgrade these 3 different railway lines by initially building quite a poor foundation, which is not going to get you many points at all, but then you can start getting better and better tracks. But you can't get the better tracks unless you start moving the poorer ones out of the way to give you room to build. And then you're trying to move your little conductors up these tracks as well to start making those points eligible to actually gain them in the first place. And then you're trying to build another kind of row of tiles to get engine building benefits. You are trying to get personal worker placement spots, and this game, it just showers you in points. You know, by the halfway point in this game, you are gaining hundreds and hundreds of points, and it feels so satisfying when you do that. And this game really does deliver so much fun. You know, when you initially see the box or even the name, you know, Russian Railroads, it sounds like a stuffy, heavy Euro, when in reality, it's quite a breezy game, and it has that fun factor which is off the chain. So that is Russian Railroads, a well-deserved #1. So there we have it. Those are the top 10 games that were new to me in 2022. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Please do hit like and let me know which games are your favourite games that you played for the first time in 2022, because I'd love to hear it. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye-bye.